Action activate!
Here we come! There they go! People rise! 'Cause they know we're super soldiers! We got cool clothes! Real soon, you see our pose! Hang shit! Energize! Mask off! Time to ride! Combine! Grease ties!
Hello, it's both of us here. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. We're doing it incorrectly. Normally, I would show up and say, "Hey, it's me, Gazbot. This is Action Activate." And if I'm Gazbot and this is Activate, what is it?
It is I. It is the Big Dog. We are here today to do a year in review, our 2024 list. It's
We thought of this. No one else has thought of it. It's a new thing.
It's definitely only our thing. It's semi-formal in the sense of some answers we have prepared, some we're going to say on the fly, and one thing that we unintentionally did is we're not wearing anything from like any brands. No, you have to cover that. So we're not wearing anything from brands we like because it's neutral. It is going to focus on Power Rangers, but because of what we're going to dive into in the state of Power Rangers in 2024, it's going to include a bunch of other stuff too. One thing, as I was looking back, that I did want to lead off with was this year we broke 500 subscribers. We're actually at 521 as of right now. So I want to thank everybody who continues to watch us, subscribes to us, hears us ramble about random baloney all the time.
Baloney. Everybody that's been here since the beginning, that's been here since it was on the Gazbot channel, that's been here since it was on Twitch, or new people, awesome, thank you. And I do notice, like, we were kind of stagnant for a while, and then you're right, this year we definitely picked up some more. And if you're watching this and haven't subscribed, please do, because some of our videos get thousands of views, and it doesn't reflect in the subscribers. And it'd be nice if it did. You know, I'm not trying to complain, but it'd be nice if it did.
Yeah. But again, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do a little back and forth talking about some of our favorite things from this year. One thing I noticed when I was looking back, because the biggest struggle we had was, okay, there's a couple things I can think of, but did that come out this year or not? And with us, I was like, there were two Power Ranger questions of media anyway, where I'm like, did Cosmic Fury come out this year? I feel like it didn't. And did the Psycho Menace from Unworthy come out this year? And I thought it didn't. So I looked. Psycho Menace we reviewed last December.
Oh, see, I saw it was a year ago, so I thought it was not in this. But it was,
that's what I'm saying. It's not. It's December 2023, so it's out. But I'm like, I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but it was. And we finished reviewing Cosmic Fury this year, even though it didn't finish coming out this year.
Okay, so both of them, both of them are technically not eligible. There is a good chance we're going to make mistakes and pick things or not pick things. Because we're just the reason we're doing this is for fun, and we didn't have time to do a review. We almost didn't do another episode because it's the holidays. We're like, let's just do this and have fun with it. Yeah. So feel free to tell us what we get wrong, not just what you disagree with, but what we factually get wrong.
Yep.
But let me go with what you were saying. The first category we're going to talk about was our favorite fan series from this year. And when I was looking at, let me add this to the stage here. This is our review. Now, this isn't necessarily when they came out, but this is our reviews. And I was thinking, like, this is going to be tough because we got Zenith Films and Unworthy and Crimson Vision and all that. And I'm like, okay, so Zenith Films and Zenith Films. And then there was Heavenly Firestar, which was by Jiro, which was a Die Ranger fan film, which did come out within the last year. After that, Psycho Menace did not quite make it. And then Unworthy a year ago, Ninja's Oath 2 years ago, Shattered Past 2 years ago. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh. We haven't seen anything from Ninja Bot Studios or Crimson Vision in like a couple of years. And Unworthy, had Psycho Menace about a year ago. And like, I'm not trying to like throw them under the bus or say anything bad about that, but like time is crazy. Like, I feel like we just reviewed those and I'm like, wow, it's hard to pick which one. I'm like, oh no, it's not. There's only really two possible answers for us.
Yeah. So, love the ringtone, by the way. Because of the categories and because we thoroughly enjoy it, spoiler alert, both of our favorite fan series of the year is the Power Rangers Rail Riders. But, if there were others, I still think they would win simply because if you haven't watched our reviews, please feel free to watch those after you watch the episodes on their channel.
Watch Zenith Films Media's stuff, like Rail Riders or their other stuff.
And watch it on their site because all of those episodes are unedited, where a lot of the YouTube ones unfortunately are because of copyright stuff,
Yes.
which is super baloney, but whatever. But the amount of times you and I, both together and separately, have gone Rail Riders go, Rail Riders go is like that should give it the win on its own.
Especially because I'm pretty sure the first episode I was like, I don't know about this theme song, and then later on like that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go ahead and say that they are definitely the best fan series out of all that have come before, but this year they certainly take it, and they're certainly they were up for contention, even if everybody else came out this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was an easy one. The next one was favorite con moment. Now, I assume you mean Power Morphicon, but I was like, I went to a bunch of cons this year.
Yeah, so it kind of encompasses all those. To me, I think it would, for both of us, probably be something from Power Morphicon, but technically any convention moment that was your favorite. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll start, but I'm going to cheat and not give just one.
Sure.
So I'll start with Power Morphicon, and like, the number one thing was it was a good con for meeting other people that we've known online but never met in real life, people that we haven't seen in 3 years, making connections in real life, going out to lunch, just having a handshake, that kind of stuff. So that was great, but I'm not going to count that as my one moment. That was sort of the vibe of the whole show.
Yep.
Then I'm going to give two moments. One from behind the table, because I was selling art and stuff. I think you were there for this. There was a lot of good interactions, but there was somebody that came, like this middle-aged dude that was like into punk rock, that was like, hey, can you draw me a Megazord with a Sharpie? And then let's talk about punk rock while you do it. And that was just a lot of fun. Like, I was like, I wish this guy lived near me. I'd be his friend. Like, it was just it was a fun art request, a fun conversation. So from like a seller point of view, that was my favorite interaction. From a fan point of view, or a Action Activate guy, I got a lot of cool interviews. And I interviewed RJ, David Delatour, which was like a big get, and he was very cool. And being a Jungle Fury guy, you'd think that was it, or maybe Bede Williams, or like, it's so hard. But really, in my heart, it was Kelson. Interviewing Kelson was so fun, and again, it's one of those things where like I want to be his friend. I feel like we get along, like he had a really good energy. He was a lot of fun. I wish I had a better camera setup because I'm like holding it like this the whole time, so it was very guerrilla style. And I forgot to get him to do an Action Activate shout out. All that being said, that's how much I enjoyed the interview. That even though it all went wrong, that was my favorite moment there.
Yeah, I think kind of like you said, I'm going to cheat and do the opposite of you. My favorite moment, and we did this a while back with a lot of other friends of the channel, where mine was like this Power Morphicon, I think was not to sound cheesy, the year of the fans, where because there isn't an official Power Rangers project, like all the fan series kind of just, were able to shine, which was really cool. And just being able, like, to me, kind of culmination of my favorite thing at the con was when we went to dinner on the last night. We met with a bunch of shout out Morphin Time Fitness folks. And fam, we had dinner with them. We ran into them. We were like, both of us did the same thing, but separately. They're like, oh, well, they're probably busy doing something. We're not going to hit them up for dinner. And we're like, they probably already got dinner, so we're not going to hit them up. And then we all met at the same place. And then while we're there, we're talking about stuff. And Cosmic Fury Zenith, Russell Curry was there, and he was with his family, and everybody was just, chilling, having a good time, having food, and commiserating. Like, this was a pretty fun con, huh? Yeah, this and that. So
is I 100% agree with you, and that was a great time. But like, because of who I am, earlier we had, and that was sort of like kismet, and it all just came together nicely. But previously we had a plan to meet them for breakfast or brunch or whatever, and I kind of liked that better because it was a little more intimate. It involved coffee and breakfast food, and which is my favorite thing. So it was like, I don't know. Like, they were both great, but the morning one, like if I had to pick one, I'd pick that morning one.
I enjoyed both. I am more of a dinner person than a breakfast person, so that's another reason I'm like, the food was really good.
The food was good at both, but like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I want coffee and eggs or a pancake or something. When it's dinner time, I'm like, let me just put something in my face.
I will say kind of like a behind the table moment that I enjoyed was shout out Zenith Films again. Going to the table, and before we started interviewing, multiple people going, hey, it's Action Activate. That was really cool because it was our first Action Activate Power Morphicon together. We have gone before, but this is the first time since doing the show. So it was really cool to have that, like, I like your stuff. You like my stuff. And it was just very
happy for you to, I enjoyed it too, but I was really happy for you to have it because I know you had gone to Power MorphCon after we started the show, but we didn't have like whatever little bit of buzz we didn't have. And I had gone to Ranger Stop in Florida, and I told you how like, I met a bunch of people that were fans of the show and that said hi, and like, and you're like, oh, I wish that would happen to me, which I understand. And so I was like, I hope when we go to MorphCon, it isn't like silence, So,
yeah. Now that was really cool. And then cheating and doing non-Power MorphCon stuff. I liked you and I doing that Godzilla show. I think was really cool because it was a smaller show, so we got a chance to
this was Godzilla Fest in San Francisco.
Check out that video. That vlog was actually kind of fun on your channel. Or did you post to both, or was it just yours?
I posted two. I posted one on Action Activate, which was like, hey, here's the fun convention we're at. And then I posted one on my Gazbot channel, which is like behind the scenes, like, this is really hard and things are crazy.
Yeah. That was a fun one. It came together better than we thought in a lot of ways. And it was also cool, like, talking, like, the toy company Super 7, who does some Power Ranger toys, was there. Scott Zillner, the runner and owner of Power MorphCon, was there. It was cool, like, when there was a lull going over and just like talking shop with everybody, where it was just like, oh, like, we all really like Toku stuff and toys. And
for as big of a show it was very intimate. It felt like a little local show, even though there was a lot of big name stuff going on there.
Yeah, so that was cool, being able to have those moments and also chill with you in San Francisco, which is more local to me. It was, we both agreed, and we talked about it in the videos, where it felt very like, we're back to normal for 3 days, and now let's go back to our real lives. So,
and for those that don't know, we used to live near each other and hang out in person all the time. Now we live, 6-8 hours away, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I had, my next one was Godzilla Fest, hanging out with you and stuff. But for whatever reason, we had a lot of fun. But like the moment I always think of is when we went to that diner and I got that really crappy food. And I'm like, isn't this terrible? And you're like, it's good. It's fine. Because you didn't want the waitress to hear. And then later you're like, it was terrible. That always sticks out in my memory. It's just like.
So two amendments to this story.
Yeah.
One item he got was bad. Egregiously bad.
The food in general was good, but yeah.
But it was the pre-food. It wasn't an appetizer, but it could have been treated as such. And he's like, God, this is really awful, right? And a general rule I follow in life is don't complain about your food while they're still making the rest of your food.
We were outside. We weren't like in the restaurant.
We were in an echo chamber outside.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a moment that was funny to me then, and it's funny to me now.
Yeah, his frustration after the fact versus when he was eating the bad food was very classic Action Activate. So.
And then from a behind the counter thing at that show, I sold out more prints than I usually do. I sold a bunch of original art. Like, it was
that was cool. That to me was the coolest part of you. There's a lot of things. Gaz is an artist, and I do sales for my day-to-day job. So a lot of times when we go to cons, there's a conflict of interest where he's like, I need to display it this way. I'm like, that looks terrible. Nobody will buy it this way. You need to put it this way. And Ninja Steel to me, I was like, why don't you just put this original stuff that's very unique and one of one in the front so it looks really cool and somebody's buy it. I've brought this art to shows for over 10 years. Who would ever want this? Oh my gosh, is this original art? I'll take it.
You have more? Can I see more? Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. We do argue, or bicker is a better word to put it.
Bicker, yes.
At shows. But I do, in my heart of hearts, know that you're a better salesman and a better marketer. I know that. But when I'm in the moment, I'm like, well, this is art and I have my idea, and it's hard to get on my own way sometimes. And because usually you're right.
That's right. That's the clip we need to go. Overdrive is my favorite season. You are usually right. Just stack those, and that's,
Overdrive is my favorite season.
You got half of it right there.
There, and then we'll sound clip you, and that'll be just the 2025 vibe going in. But speaking of vibes, we're going to talk about some toys.
Wait, one other thing I want to throw out there. It wasn't a convention, but at my local comic shop, Jason Font came and did a signing. And that was just a cool thing because it was, again, me and him sitting next to each other. He did an interview. It was just like a cool, like, one-on-one thing. So
it is cool, like, because I talked to you about that and I was a little jealous just because those interactions I think are really cool because obviously we know Power Rangers, but I like to think that we are not what a lot of the Ranger actors are used to, where when a fan comes up, it's like, hey, I have these very specific questions that you've heard a lot of times, where we're like, what kind of cheese do you get on your hamburger? Well, and it's like,
I'll tell you that. I can't speak for you. You're right. For me, the first interview I did, it was either Brennan Mejia or Tracy.
I think it was
Lindbergh.
Brennan Mejia.
I did them both like at San Diego Comic-Con, like in the same day. And at one, I think I might have done him first, but she agreed to it first. But those are the first two people. And I didn't want to say, hey, what's your favorite episode of Power Rangers? And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I wanted to make an impression. And so the two things I thought of was a lot of actors that are in genre, don't mind talking about it, Star Wars or whatever, but like it when you ask about other things. So I'm like, well, let me see if they've done other things. So I do. And the other thing, there's a guy called Nardwar. You know who he is?
Yeah.
and he is like my interview hero, not in terms of his personality and like his persona, but he just like does research and calls people's families and like
the deepest cuts.
Yeah. And I'm not that guy, but I do research and try to find like, oh, they were in a play 3 years ago. Let me ask them about that. And like, oh, this is their favorite kind of shoe according to their Instagram. Let me ask, not stalking, but like, what can I publicly find in about half hour before I interview them? And then throw in some stuff like you said, like, what's your favorite kind of cheese? Just to make it interesting for them, for us, for whatever. And like, yeah, so I find, and this is like a humble brag, but it's also like putting us down.
Yeah.
I find a lot of the actors, celebrities, creatives that we interview really enjoy the interview and say very nice things like, wow, that was one of my favorite interviews. I like the way you interview that. But they don't get watched by a lot of people that, like I feel like the people we interview appreciate our style more than the fans, if that makes sense. I think a lot of the fans want us to find out what their favorite episode is, what their favorite weapon is, who's their favorite villain. And I'm like, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a million videos of that. So we're trying to do something different, which I think the creatives appreciate, but a lot of the fans are like, nah,
Hey, like you said, the artist.
Yeah.
But not talking about art. We're talking about
favorite toy.
We're going to start with Power Rangers related. Now, with these, because of the way that Gaz and I are, for this kind of list and some of the other media related things, it's going to be for us something that we enjoyed in 2024 or acquired in 2024 or watched or read or whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean that's when it came out. So that is the stipulation of could be from 10 years ago, could be from 1993, who knows? But this year it made an impression on us. So I'm going to start.
Okay.
And my Power Ranger related toy of 2024 that is my favorite as of this moment and subject to change. Super 7 Megazord. It's just, I was so hesitant on it for so long. Like, I was like, like it's Mighty Morphin. There's a million Mighty Morphin. It's Megazord. It obviously can't go with my other Megazords, but like, it's just so good. Like, it's so chonky. It's sturdy. The weapons, like everything about it. I'm like, darn you guys.
I'll allow it because whatever, who cares? But I'll allow it also because it's newly available. A lot of these Super 7 are newly available at Ross and discount stores. So there are people who are like, oh, it's available to me now. Like, it's a cheap, but whatever.
Yeah. And one thing about Super 7, I said it offline and I'll say it online. I like, for the most part, Super 7 figures. And my biggest, like, compliment to them, a left-handed compliment, those I'm like,
this. You mean?
Yeah, here's the Goldar that I keep trying to get Gas to get. He doesn't have his wings because they're very big. I'm like, this is one of the most phenomenal $25 to $30 figures I've ever had.
Right.
$55? I don't know. Yeah. $25 knocks it out of the park.
I haven't seen any of the Super 7 Power Ranger stuff at discount. If I did, I would probably buy whatever I saw and figure it out later. If I saw that Goldar, I'd probably get it. I don't need another Dragon Zord. I've got the Soul Chogokin one, but I do love Dragon Zord. Like, as a Power Rangers fan, I love it. As a person who collects monsters and robots, I love it. As someone who likes Mecha Godzilla, like, it's just, that is a design I love. So I could see getting it, and specifically because there's those rocket missiles with the smoke. I wasn't going to pay full price, but if I saw it cheap, like you saw the Megazord, I would absolutely get it. Yeah. So that's your top pick.
For now, yeah. And we talked about this offline. There's probably a bunch of stuff I'm totally forgetting that maybe I like more, but I can't think of it right now. So that's what we're getting.
Same. Mine. It's funny because I was like, what came out? What did I even get? Not a lot. And again, I'm like not sure about the timeline, but what I had was my top pick, which is a weird one, is Lightning Collection Red Turbo. But I pulled up this reference, and after I did, I realized, oh, it's sitting on my desk. So It's not even that this is the best Lightning Collection figure ever or anything, and they're probably, but like I've been wanting a red turbo for Selwyn, for TJ, and to finish the Tommy set. I paid just over full price because I missed it when it came out, and I bought it in that window before it started showing at Ross for like $8 or whatever. So I paid full price, but I still like it. And I don't have any 12-inch or 3.0 stuff, but the red Turbo Ranger I saw at one of the conventions is the thing that makes me think, ooh, maybe I want that.
Yeah.
Honorable mention is Tommy Black Ranger from Dino Charge or Dino
Thunder.
And then I'm just gonna keep going. And I got this was a gift. These were the battle claws or whatever they're called. They don't really fit, but I love them on my shelf. And these were given to me at Power Morphicon. I was interested in them, and Scott, one of the vendors there that we've known for years, was like, "Hey man, not a lot of love for these. You can just have them." And so it's less that's one of my favorite things in the world. And it was just it's sort of almost a con moment as well.
Yeah. It is cool. Like whenever you have those, where kind of like you said, it's the story almost makes you love it more than just the like toy itself. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
With that also, we're gonna do non-Power Rangers category, and this was way harder.
I agree.
Because there were a lot more options. I have a lot of recency bias, but I'm gonna do an honorable mention, but I'll have to get mine while you
first.
What? No, I'm going first.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're not going first. I'm going first.
Go for it.
So I'll give my honorable mention while you're doing yours because it's not next to me. But I was at a con around my birthday, and I usually get myself like a thing, nothing too crazy, but there was a local vendor who I've become like, I don't want to say buddies with, but acquaintances, like toy acquaintances.
Yeah.
We know each other. We're cool. We haven't hung out outside of that, but like he's a good guy. I'm a good guy, whatever.
You're a good guy? You sure?
I try to be. He collects a lot of the same things. And one of them that Gaz collects more than me is Transformers. But every once in a while, if there's a Transformer that, you know, tickles the fancy, I go for it. And I've wanted for so long this very specific comic book character called Tarn.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been waiting because the official Hasbro one is a little more than I'm willing to pay and just kind of whatever. And the third-party ones are really cool but really expensive because he's so popular. And then I see this beauty. And this is as far as I know, if I'm wrong, roast me in the comments. The third-party die-cast feet, oversized version of the Hasbro release, so it fits in masterpiece scale, and it's everything I've wanted in this figure and more. It is the perfect. I don't care if he's in scale, if he's technically the right size. I don't care. He looks awesome. He stands awesome. He checked off that list of something I've wanted for so long, and by golly, I was flabbergasted when I saw it. And the price was absurd. Like, he cost less than the Hasbro one. It was insane. So that's my pick.
That's your number one pick, or that's your honorable mention?
No, that's my number one pick.
Okay. Well, then I will go ahead and put myself back in here. So my number one pick is, let me share the screen here. And again, this might have come out like a year ago. I'm not sure. This is
nice.
Jairus lightsaber. And this is not, there's no like official release. No, that's not true. What's that?
Keep going. I'm going to grab something.
The Disney parks have put one out now. I got one Disney park saber. I don't like them. They're big and chunky. This is a third party. It's like NeoPixel, but not NeoPixel. I got it through like AliExpress. It was still very expensive. It's my first of this type where they have the soundboard where you can change the color by twisting it and everything. But Kanan Jarrus is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and I love his saber, the way it can disassemble. And this is like my favorite saber I own now because I have a few of the Hasbro ones. Honorable mention, and this is controversial. This is Silver 7 put out Silverhawk figures a couple years ago, Ultimates, and then now they're releasing them as the Vac Metal shiny versions. And Steelheart is the one I like best so far. They're far from perfect, but the fact that it exists at all really tickles my fancy. And the other one, which I don't have a picture of, but just the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon line in general. Specifically, they released a character called Dekion, which is wild that because he's like a side character, he's not even a main character. So that's like my other honorable mention. Super 7's getting a lot of love despite crazy prices and QC issues. They do things that no one else is doing, which
since you mentioned a lightsaber, we're gonna make this a two-part category where favorite prop or cosplay items. Since you did a lightsaber,
Sure.
Mine would also be Star Wars related.
Oh.
Got this puppy this year, and I am very excited about it. This is Wrecker's helmet from the show The Bad Batch. Highly recommend watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, it was like $50, I think, on Amazon. It was the best. Some of the things
good.
I like because I like them, and when they're a deal, I like them even better.
I almost picked this. This is the Sabine helmet, which was not $50. The only thing that could have made this be if it was the cartoon version. This is the TV show version.
Yeah.
But this was a contender for sure.
Honorable mention for figure. I pulled this out. This is the McFarlane Bane from Nightfall. He's awesome. He's a really big figure. Clearly the biggest figure I got this year, and that's why he's number one. I'm just kidding. This is a great figure, though. No, the honorable mention is our boy, the Giant Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this thing's awesome. This is
I'm looking at
almost
mine.
as tall as my kid. My kid's taller now, but like this guy's really cool.
That is pretty great. Weirdly, I'm going to stick with my answer. He is very good, but like there have been Giant Man figures, and like it's more shocking to me that there's Vac Metal Silverhawks than a Giant Man figure, I guess.
So did those actually come out and you're just waiting on them?
The first wave came out.
Of the Vac Metal
I have
ones.
her. Yeah, so of the Vac Metal, yeah, they have they call them the toy versions because the heroes are
I know, yeah.
So the first wave came out. I have 2 of them in my collection over there. I don't have them in the box. That's why I don't, And then the next wave was announced and I paid for it, but it hasn't come yet. And then the third wave hasn't been announced yet.
Enough toy talk. We're going to talk comics. I'm going to let you lead this time.
Okay.
And talk your favorite comic or comics of the year.
This is difficult for me because I haven't really been reading a lot of comics. The only one I can say with all confidence that I read that came out this year, and it's ongoing, it's not over yet, is Ultraman Avengers.
I didn't know you read this yet.
I read the first issue. I haven't read the second issue. I don't know if it's out yet or not, but they had Justice League versus King Kong versus Godzilla, which we both started reading and kind of didn't even finish, and it's not great. This one, at least starting off, is really good. So, and the fact that it's Ultraman is the Godzilla. They have like an American version, and it kind of makes sense. You kind of expected Ultraman's like what, So that tickled my fancy. I'm going to throw in 2 other honorable mentions. One is Kaiju number 8, which is the first manga I've read in a while. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever, but I like the monster design. It's a little goofy. This is where timeline gets funky because I think it came out in Japan a couple years ago. I'm not sure when they started publishing it in America, but I got it recently, so there you go. And then a more mainstream one, Absolute Batman, just because it's the first Batman I've read in a while, and it's good. It's better than I thought. I put on the art for the second issue because I hate the art for the cover of the first issue.
Why do you hate the art for the first issue?
It just looks weird and chunky, and it made me not want to read the book, basically.
Got it. They made him look too beefy.
Yeah, I like he has that big bat, which like looks okay in other
I don't know
pictures.
why I'm on a one shot, but for sure.
Well, because it's your turn.
Oh, so for me, so you, just to clarify, you did not read any Power Ranger comics this year.
Correct, none.
Okay, so for me, the ones that did come out this year, my favorite Power Ranger comic, I don't think I have it next to me. Let me double check. Terrible one shot, I know. Okay, yeah, I didn't. So The Return was my favorite for this year. It was a miniseries written by Amy Jo Johnson. That was my favorite Power Ranger comic. Honorable mention to the main Darkest Hour story. I didn't dislike it, but like The Return was kind of a cool little change of pace. So that was my favorite Power Ranger comic.
Nice.
I didn't read the Usagi crossover, but I plan to at some point. That one's pretty cool. And then favorite non-Power Ranger comic. Marvel and DC, for those that don't read comics, do a lot of similar things coincidentally at the same time. So I also read Absolute Batman. It's like its own different continuity, but the guy's still called Batman. Just a lot of the background is very different. Marvel's doing the same thing. It's called Ultimate. So,
which they did years ago,
but now they're doing it again, and it's different. But it's good. Is the moral of this story? So the whole kind of Ultimate reboot, the miniseries leading into this change is called Ultimate Invasion, which I enjoyed. And then the first series that came out of it was Ultimate Spider-Man. And that one I really enjoy, and that I'm going to put as my number one. I'm still reading it. It's still ongoing. And the premise is Peter Parker didn't get bitten by a spider when he was 16. And then somebody comes and changes that when he's 35, married to Mary Jane, and has 2 kids, and then he suddenly becomes Spider-Man. And
cool.
as a guy in my 30s who is married and has a kid, I was like, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
This feels relatable to me who is reading this now.
It's
similar
awesome
to
and terrible at the same time to have that power thrust on you.
yeah. But that one's really solid. I definitely recommend if anybody dabbles in comics. Any of the absolute DC titles and any of the Ultimate titles are very easy to jump into. We've talked about potentially reading Ultimate X-Men on the side. Because that looks interesting. So
I watched an interview with her on Comic Tropes, and I'm like, I always knew who she was, kind of. I've been at conventions with her and stuff, but I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. I should check that out.
Yeah. So that was comics.
I'm looking. We're at a half hour, and I'm gonna have to go soon, so we need to move a little bit faster.
Let's do it.
As well as his partner. So, favorite show? What do you got?
So this year, a lot of the shows I watch because of the way my life works is a lot of reality TV. My favorite reality show is The Challenge on MTV. Okay. So that one wins just because it is my favorite. But favorite non-reality show or non-competition show, I just finished it recently, but I have figured out it's not recency bias of why I like it so much. HBO's The Penguin is an awesome show. It's 8 episodes. It is a follow-up to Matt Reeves' The Batman with Robert Pattinson that came out a few years ago. Really solid crime show. Very rated R, but solid. And that is my favorite show. Honorable mention of Yellowstone, which wrapped up this year. I love the show as a whole. The last season was plagued with some behind-the-scenes stuff, but overall, it did the best it could.
Nice. My top pick, let me share because I have visual aids. My top pick is Fallout.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mainly because it was a fun show. I liked it. I wish that picture was a little bigger. But I never played the game. And what I loved about it is I didn't know what was going to happen next. I had no idea from moment to moment, from episode to episode. And it was equal parts horrifying and hilarious. And I can't wait for season 2. Honorable mention, because I found out it actually was 2 years old, even though I just watched it, is Severance. Totally different tone, much less fun, but I like it for the same reason of I don't know what's going to happen next. This is just new and unique, and so that. And then I think we could both agree that even though it was not new, Bad Batch season 4 was great. Such
a good show. Definitely worth watching if you haven't watched it. It's chef's kiss. For movies, I went into this thinking, A, what did I see this year? And B, what came out this year? And then I very quickly realized none of that matters because Deadpool Wolverine was my favorite movie this year. Not because it's the best movie, but because it is night and day the most fun movie I saw in the theater.
I had the exact same journey of what did I see? And my first thought was, Deadpool Wolverine. Well, wait, let me think. What else? Well, and it's Deadpool Wolverine. It's all I could think about when I think about the year. It wins just by the force of itself. Yeah.
The honorable mention I will say in terms of theater experience is going back a year because Godzilla -1 was awesome and obviously came out last year, but I didn't see it again this year. If I would, it would still be up there because it is a phenomenal film that everybody should see.
I agree with that. So then we're on. Then we're on to our 2025 wish list. So that's all the stuff we liked. And now you had said, because he gave me the notes before, 2025 wish list, 3 PR related any category. Mm-hmm. You want to go first, or we want to?
Yes. So I'm going to lead, and there may be some overlap because we haven't talked about this whatsoever.
I don't think so. How about this? I promise you, there'll be no overlap.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't go traditional.
Okay. This year, I believe in the fall, Playmates is supposed to release some Mighty Morphin toys. Mm-hmm. I hope that I at least have to think if I want them or not. I don't want them to come out and I see the photos and immediately go, nope. That is my one low bar.
Okay. All right. We might be more similar than I thought because I similarly wasn't here is a specific thing. Okay. All right.
That's my number one.
Okay. You want to go to me and then we'll bounce back and forth?
Yep.
Okay. My most normal, here's a thing I want. The other two are a little more esoteric is I still want Solar Morphers. I won't get them. I don't expect. Like, it was certainly not from Playmates, but like if maybe like 3-0 or some collector. Just I want a Solar Morpher. I want sunglasses that fit my face and have electronics.
Oh, those Solar Morphers. Sorry, I was thinking of the Solar Morphers from the comics, which are different.
No, I mean maybe I'd want those too, but no, the Jungle Fury sunglasses. I want sunglasses that I could wear that look like those, and if they have electronics and stuff, all the better. And I know I won't get it, but it's a wish list. So
I want. There's a current Ranger series called Power Ranger Prime.
Mhm.
The first issue came out. I believe issue 2 isn't out yet. I'd have to double check. But I want them to announce that all 12 or however many issues of that are going to be in an oversized hardcover that goes with my other Power Ranger comics.
Okay, fair. I want a new show of any kind, but if I'm making my wish list, I want Hyperforce. Make it animated, whatever. I want Hyperforce. I canonize that more than it already has been. I think it'd be a fun jumping on point for people that have never watched, and it has so many guest appearances. I think it'd be great.
Similar but different. I want any concrete from the source information to come out of a Power Ranger project, whether movie or TV show, from whatever company Hasbro licensed it to, and us to get a release date.
Okay,
that's my goal for the year. Just give us something. Don't not talk about Power Rangers, which is all you've done for a year.
Right.
Talk about them a little bit. You know,
that's a reasonable request, actually. My final one is again, which I knew you. I want my art to be on something Power Rangers official. Ideally, like a Power Rangers, Turtles crossover variant cover or something, but something official. I've wanted this for a while. I've worked on official Ultraman stuff. I have a t-shirt that was sort of kind of official for Godzilla. Nothing Power Rangers, nothing Turtle. So if I got one, but Power Rangers, some comic, some trading card, something that is somehow official Power Rangers, I would love it if that happened in the next year.
I want that for you as well.
Thank you.
That is one of the most lackluster wish lists I think I've ever heard. Specifically, Power Rangers.
There isn't like a bunch of new Legacy or Lightning Collection or Black, whatever coming out.
it is. I feel like we're in the acceptance stage of grief of Power Rangers, where we're like, we just want something.
Yeah, we both had a wish. Your wish was like, tell me what's happening, and mine is like, make a show.
yeah. Whereas in past episodes, if we did this, it was probably 37 minutes of us going, so I specifically want this figure to be made because they currently are making figures.
Right, because it was believable.
What a wild time. But thank you for listening to us ramble for however long it's been. If you have anything you like from this year, if you have anything that you would recommend to us to watch, not on the show necessarily, but like, hey, you said you like comics, this comic's pretty good, or whatever. Or if you have any of your own Power Rangers wishes for 2025, put them in the comments down below right after you hit subscribe if you haven't already. And until the new year, I have been the Big Dog.
Gazbot.
And to the power. See y'all in 2025. Later.
Pick this up. I'm not even on. There we go. And end credits.
Look at those saps over there saying, man, Power Rangers is currently on. Boys are out. Oh, the sun's out. I know. You were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, before it even came out.
Yep. It's like you were preparing for years. And I was like, hey, here's a Go Busters thing. Surely that won't turn into anything Power Rangers related.
Yeah, literally said that. All right. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Goodbye.